energy power at a reasonable rate. And I think India is the only country in the world which has demonstrated that it has brought down the price of solar power from 25 cents to 3 cents a unit. So that requirement you met. The second requirement you have is that you must be able to access electrolyzers, because if you have cheap solar power, not cheap, affordable solar power and an electrolyzer, then you will get green hydrogen as much as you like. So, as far as I know, I mean, these are not information which is not available, it is available. Just about every electrolyzer manufacturer in the world is tied up with Indian companies. And in the cabinet meeting which took place 1 week ago, we had the interesting situation that the government set aside an amount of, I think, what, 19,800 crores for, this is on PLI on electrolyzers. So that is a very major encouragement for electrolyzer manufacturing. So if you have the foreign collaborators, if you have the technologies available, and you have a domestic incentive scheme, I think you will see green hydrogen growing or becoming available. So you need, as I've always said, you need three things. You need a demand. You need then to be able to produce according to that demand. And you need a context and a setting in which you consume. I think India provides all three. And green hydrogen, to my mind, does not lend itself to production in a place where it has to be stored, or production, storage, and then transportation from that storage points to where it's going to be consumed. It is much more economically viable if it is produced and consumed at the same place. Therefore, if you look at our green hydrogen manufacturing, some private sector players, they've got facilities all along the coastline. Because you've got water available, you've got large consumption base available, you've got the money available. So I think it's work in progress.
Thank you, sir.
So you mentioned about a plan which you personally will be submitting and your OMCs will
No, it's not a plan. All I said is that the day, everybody is very excited about green hydrogen.
Yes,
so where will green hydrogen come? Will it come from the shipping industry using it? Will it come from the electricity? So I have always been a very staunch believer that the success of green hydrogen will come from the petroleum and natural gas sector for a variety of reasons. You have the refineries which will produce, which will consume. They will use that for a variety of PNG functions. And all of them, in terms of their mindset, are already doing that. It's not only in India, everywhere. If you look at these big names in that sector, let's say I give you one name, XYZ. They are now XYZ Green. Okay, not that they've given up on the traditional fossil fuel operations, but they are also shifting to green energy. Now that green energy can be in any of the sectors. It can be biofuels, it can be green hydrogen, etc. But they're all mindset-wise, they're all going in that direction.
So many of the PLIs have seen more investments than what was fixed by the government. For example, for the steel, there were investments coming more than 40,000 crore, but the PLI was just for 6,500 crore.
No, PLI, it's very different. Yeah. PLI is something, see, subsidies in the past used to be generally available. I'm going off the topic, but to try. So if you have a generally available subsidy, everybody can benefit from it. Then it became clear that you would get better results if you have specific targeted this thing. So the PLI scheme which has been introduced is a very, very good scheme, and it's showing results. The amount of money the government sets aside in the PLI scheme for encouragement is only that part of it. More money will come in, it will happen autonomously. One is not dependent on the other.
So that was my question. That was part B of
No, but that will happen. If there is a lot of excitement in the sector, if investment comes into green hydrogen, it may be coming in for various other aspects. But whether the people who are manufacturing electrolyzers want to avail of the PLI, that is one aspect. Some people may not want to avail of it, or the others are saying the investment is something more than just the electrolyzer manufacturing.
Thank you, sir. Sir, can we expect some amount from the oil and gas sector towards the green hydrogen? Can we
I beg your pardon?
So can we expect some target investment?
No, I have not known. I can't get into that because this is a process that just started. I think my encouragement and my understanding of what the OMCs are doing it, that they are also completing their own thing. Then they will come up with tentative target. All I'm trying to tell you is that the target that you set of 5 million metric tons per day, per annum. Yeah, but you know, these are very conservative targets. If the green hydrogen plant takes off, it will take off in a very big way. And I think it will.
Hi sir, so in the discussion downstairs you mentioned that you've asked the OMCs to prepare their plans on green hydrogen, which then eventually would be submitted to the PMO. Could we get any sort of a timeline on that?
No, I've just told them, I'll share it with you. I'll share it with you when it's ready.
No, I'm saying, is there a timeline?
No, I told them we'll be the first. So I mean, the cabinet decision was only 1 week old. So give them at least a week or 10 days. I'll share it with you. I'm not talking about 6 months from now. I'm talking about something much sooner.
Gentlemen, yes, please. Please,
Sir, out of the 5,000 such plants that the country will have, what will be the contribution of the OMC in this? And the second question is, if we plan to reach 20% say blending, after that the automobile engines need to be, what we can say, enabled for higher blending as such. So, since you are visiting auto show, what will be your message to them, sir?
No, I am not addressing that aspect yet because look, there are several other stakeholders who are addressing that issue. One explanation for the 20% is that there is now conventional wisdom which says that if you have 20% blending, then the same existing engines with or without modifications are good enough to run on 20% blended fuel. This is the conventional wisdom. There is also now technology available if you need to do minor adjustment or not. But the fact of the matter is, today the technology to have a engine program to take in more than 20% of blended fuel is readily available. When I mentioned Brazil is a country in kind. Other countries also, you have flexi fuel engine, and the manufacturers are the same. Those who are marketing their vehicles in India and outside. So I don't want to push this argument because this is something that the comfort level will come from the manufacturers themselves. Therefore, I had invited the Brazilian, my Brazilian counterpart, the previous minister, who came along with a delegation of automobile manufacturers. And they also met, the Society of Indian Automobile Manufacturers, SIAM. They had discussion so that the marketplace will deal with that. Your second question is compressed biogas. How much will be there? We are not doing any allocations. All I'm telling you is that when I talk to my OMCs, they are very happy and aggressive in looking at it. What percentage they will produce, etc. This is all, they will make the determination. All I gave you the example is that some states are very happily producing incentives which look very attractive, and they will invite private sector OMCs to look at those opportunities, and I'm sure the OMCs will also participate in that.
Anyone else? Yeah, your question, please.
Sir, in the green hydrogen value chain, one of the biggest cost components is the electrolyzer. The present cost is around 4 to 4.5 crores per megawatt, which is significant if we are going to produce 5 million tons per annum of green hydrogen by 2030. Now the oil marketing companies are working on and are at various stages with electrolyzer technologies. And since you sound very optimistic that you will be the first one to go to the government with a plan for the petroleum ministry. Could you share with us, is there something you're working on for electrolyzers? Because
No, I am not. You see, I tell you, I can only point to the broad areas where work is done. So this is a highly dynamic situation. When I became minister, I was about 16, 18 months ago, one of my first conversations was with the US Energy Secretary. And she started talking about $1, 1 for 1 for 1. What is 1 for 1 for 1? 1 kilogram of green hydrogen for $1 for 10 years. Now, the cost of green hydrogen is not just the electrolyzer. It is also the cost of green energy which you are going to use. Because if you are not using green energy, you are not producing green hydrogen. I mean, then your grid is still, grey or whatever other color. The point I am making to you is, they are enthusiastic. They will come up with their plan. What their plans is, I don't want to judge them. So for you to expect me during a press conference, even if I know something, I cannot share it. Because all I can tell you is that I'm not being positive. I'm being as upfront as I can. You see, on compressed biogas, I came across a situation, everybody said we have a target of 5,000, but it's not moving. So I started analyzing it. And the analysis led to some very interesting conclusions. One of those problems we've got out of the way. Second problem, as I told you, I'm confident we'll get it out. But with green hydrogen, I think all the electrolyzer collaboration, manufacturing agreements have taken place in all three technologies. And now let people work on it. They'll come from all sides. You just see, it was the PM's statement on 15th August 2021. The buzz is coming now. We were waiting for that policy change in the cabinet note, cabinet approval, which has come now.
Yes, ma'am, you have a question, please.
This is Pallavi from Money Control. This question may go a little off topic, but I would like to still ask.
I'd be surprised if you have a press conference and something doesn't go off topic.
A one-time grant of rupees 22,000 crore was given to OMCs last year. Is the government considering giving more compensation to them? And if yes, is the oil ministry going to recommend it to the finance ministry?
No, it's not like this. What happened is the OMCs took as good corporate citizens, I think on the gas front, they took a big hit. So they came to us and said, we've been good corporate citizens and so we need to be compensated because, they also raise money from the market. They borrow from banks, they are answerable to the shareholders. So I think as a one-time exception, that 28,000 crores which they spent, we gave them 22,000 crores. So that's been done. Now, I don't want to utilize this press conference to say, they're telling us, look, we've taken a hit on the petrol and diesel also. So I think their H1 losses were something like 28,000 crores. So they are coming to us, it's under discussion. As a line minister, I am supporting them. Yeah, because tomorrow you might face the same situation again. And if the guy goes into liquidation because you didn't bail him out, next time he won't have the capacity to help you.
Right. Another thing related to this, you said earlier that some petrol pumps in the country may be able to sell 20% ethanol by April 2023. So where are we on that target?
Where? Very soon. I said we'll do it on a pilot project very, very quickly. Very quickly, very soon.
Another question regarding this only would be, are there any challenges that we are facing in challenges that we are facing in increasing from 10% to 20% lending?
The challenges you face in everything. I mean, in your daily work you face challenges. You've got